My Social Security is $1,033 a month. A studio apartment is over $1,300. I had no place to go.
There are two American economies right now. In one, the market is resilient, hitting all-time highs. In the other, a lifetime of work is no longer enough to keep a roof over your head. This isn't a story about a temporary downturn. It's the story of a system breaking, a story of how a series of economic shocks are creating a feedback loop that has pushed the promise of a secure retirement to the brink. And it reveals a new, profound risk to the American economy that few are paying attention to. This crisis isn't an accident. It is fueled by a confluence of powerful economic drivers that are fundamentally reshaping the promise of American life. It began with a policy shockwave. On April 2nd, 2025, the Trump administration declared a national emergency, unilaterally imposing sweeping tariffs on nearly all imports, a 10% baseline tax on the world, with rates as high as 54% for China. The goal was economic autonomy. The result was chaos. Global markets panicked. In just 2 days, the US stock market lost $6.6 trillion in value, its worst 2-day period ever. The market's fear gauge spiked to its highest level since the pandemic. The policy was eventually paused, and markets staged a historic rally.
People have seen their retirement savings on fire.
But the shock exposed a deep fragility, and it was a preview of how macroeconomic volatility was about to translate into real-world pain. For most Americans, the economy isn't the S&P 500. It's the price of milk. A carton of eggs, a gallon of milk. These aren't just commodities. They are daily transactions that highlight a critical economic struggle. This isn't a low-income story. We found households earning 6-figure incomes who still can't afford a down payment on a home. The gap between wages and costs is being filled with debt. Over $1.1 trillion in high-interest credit card debt, much of it used just to cover essentials. It's a national doom loop, and it leads to one place: the complete unraveling of retirement security. For 40 years, America ran a national experiment, shifting the burden of retirement from the employer to the individual through the 401k. The results are now in, and it is, according to labor economists, a failed experiment.
I did not think that being 70 would be like this. It is hard for me just to survive.
While the cost of living skyrockets, wages remain stagnant. This imbalance forces individuals into untenable situations. The result? A retirement savings gap that is immense. The average American has saved about $144,000 for retirement. The estimated amount they'll actually need: nearly $1 million. But the most alarming number is this: 50% of those nearing retirement have nothing saved, not a penny. They are completely reliant on a social security system that was never designed to be a sole source of income, and which faces its own funding crisis by 2033. This is the engine of the GrayWave. The promise of a secure retirement has evaporated for millions, replaced by the grim reality of financial desperation in their golden years. Many are forced back into the workforce, often in physically demanding jobs, simply to survive. For others, like Vernon Wedge, the consequences are even more stark. He became homeless for the first time at 69 after losing his job. Laurie Cowling, at 80, was evicted because her social security simply wasn't enough. These are not isolated tragedies, but warning signs of a systemic failure. Experts project that the number of homeless seniors could triple by 2030. The severe impacts of this crisis on individuals are now translating into broader, more damaging consequences for society as a whole. But this human crisis sits on an even larger, structural problem. So why is this happening now? Because the personal debt crisis mirrors a national one. All of these pressures, policy volatility, inflation, the strain on the safety net, are sitting on a foundation of unsustainable national debt. Now over $37 trillion. This staggering figure represents the total amount of money the US federal government has borrowed. It's an out-of-control problem. The interest payments alone are now $1.2 trillion a year, more than we spend on national defense, more than Medicare. This debt squeezes out spending on everything else, and it forces the government to borrow more. This isn't just a problem for Washington. It's a national anchor, slowly dragging down the financial stability of everyday families. When the government borrows huge amounts of money, it drives up interest rates for everyone else. His makes it more expensive for ordinary people to get loans for major life expenses, like a car or a home. Some argue the solution is to simply print money. But as one expert explained, when the government creates more money, it devalues the currency already in circulation. That now means there are more dollars in the economy that are chasing the same amount of goods and services. That's where inflation comes from. In this way, the national debt can directly fuel the rising prices you see at the store, connecting this long-term issue back to the immediate squeeze on your wallet. These powerful economic forces are not abstract. They have created a profound lack of direction for the nation. So what does this mean for an investor? For a business leader? It means the definition of systemic risk is changing. For decades, we've looked at GDP, unemployment, and market indices as the primary gauges of economic health. But the data now shows a profound disconnect between those metrics and the reality on the ground. The GrayWave of poverty is more than a social tragedy. It's a material, forward-looking economic risk. It signals a future drag on consumer spending, an immense strain on public finances, and a potent source of political instability that will inevitably impact markets. Social instability is market risk. The current crisis isn't just statistical, it's deeply personal, manifesting as widespread food insecurity and the fraying of the American dream. Over 50 million people now rely on charitable food assistance, and for many, home ownership is simply dying. This constant financial anxiety is contributing to a documented rise in depression and a breakdown in social order. The social fabric, woven from shared prosperity and mutual trust, is fraying under the relentless strain of economic hardship. Economic decay is contributing to an erosion of social trust and stability, linked to a rise in crime and businesses closing. This is not a temporary downturn, but a systemic failure with profound and lasting consequences. The United States now stands at a crossroads, facing a fundamental failure to provide a dignified and secure life for millions of its citizens. The solutions are complex, but the first step is to recognize the full scope of the problem. To understand the future of the American economy, we must now look past the market's all-time highs and see the faces of those for whom the dream is breaking, because their crisis today is a sign of the market's turbulence tomorrow. The poignant words of Olivia Marino Carlson, a 70-year-old forced to seek work because her social security is not enough to survive, encapsulate the tragedy of this moment. I'm not able to enjoy the rest of my life because I have worked hard all my life. Her experience, shared by countless others, serves as a powerful indictment of an economic system that is leaving too many behind. This is the Gray Wave. Thank you for watching this video. Please share, like, subscribe our channel, and most importantly, invest in yourself. See you in the next one.